Out of the war in Ukraine, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Russia is expanding its offensive, launching a record 145 drones in just one day. Glide bombs, in addition to drones, and a ballistic missile were also launched into Ukraine, killing at least 6 civilians, injuring about 30 more. Meanwhile, Russia is massing 50,000 troops. That includes North Korean soldiers for what looks to be a new offensive in Kursk. That's that region in Russia that has been partially occupied by Ukrainians. Ukrainian intelligence tells ABC News that this video right here, it shows North Korean soldiers in Russia. ABC's Patrick Reevell joins us now with more. So, Patrick, what's the latest on the battlefield?
Hi, Terry. Yeah, I mean, the latest on the battlefield is mainly very worrying signs for Ukraine. As you say, there are 50,000 Russian and North Korean troops now said to be massed in the Kursk region. Of them, it's estimated that there could be as many as 10,000 North Korean troops, all there to basically take part in a counteroffensive to try and push back Ukrainian forces that managed to seize a foothold in the Kursk region back in August. And as you know, as we understand it from what we can assess, Russia has already, over the last couple of months, been able to take back about half of what the Ukrainians had managed to seize back in August. But so far, the Ukrainians had been holding them. There's an expectation now that Russia will attempt a bigger offensive to try and remove them. But it's not just in Kursk. Also in eastern Ukraine, we're seeing Ukrainian forces under severe pressure at multiple points, in particular around the town of Kharkiv, where there is now the risk that a large number of Ukrainian troops could find themselves surrounded. There's a risk there that the lines could crumble if the Russians manage to capture that town, which would be a very serious blow to Ukrainian forces in eastern Ukraine. But just in general, we're seeing that Ukrainian troops are under severe pressure at multiple points, and we hear from them that they are suffering in particular from shortages of manpower, and that they are very, very worried about the general direction of the war at the moment, Terry.
Yeah, let me pick up on that, Patrick. Manpower. So this is 1,000 days into this war now. We remember it beginning with Russia's attempt at lightning strike into that country that would topple the government and give the entirety of Ukraine to the Kremlin. That didn't happen. It settled into this grinding, awful conflict. And now Donald Trump is back in office saying he's going to end it. What's the mood in Ukraine? What's it look like for them going forward?
You know, I think that's a fascinating question, because I think many people might be surprised to hear that within Ukraine, a very large number of people believe that Donald Trump's election is potentially a good thing for Ukraine, and they prefer it to if there had been a Kamala Harris victory. And the reason for that, I think, is the deep disillusionment that there is in Ukraine about the Biden administration's policy over the last year, really, where they were imposing quite significant restrictions on how Western weapons could be used. And basically, many Ukrainians, and we hear this from some senior Ukrainian military commanders, many Ukrainians feel that essentially the Biden administration was giving Ukraine enough to be on life support, but not enough to win and not enough to force Russia into fair negotiations. And so what they're hoping is that Donald Trump potentially can create a situation where at least there's an opportunity now for negotiations. They know that there's a risk as well, that he said he's going to cut aid. They're very concerned about that, but they hope that this at least creates an opportunity for them to try and have negotiations, Terry.
Wow. That is remarkable that the Ukrainians, he talks tough on Ukraine, but the Biden administration has kind of played it very, very carefully, too carefully, it sounds, for them. Patrick Reevell, I know you've been following this since the beginning. Thanks very much.